Hello and welcome to another episode of Coffee Talks. In today's episode, I wanted to dive into just a little bit about roasting chemistry. I'll try as best I can not to get too nerdy with this, but it's also something I'm really passionate about, so I apologize ahead of time if I drone on about the same topic a little bit too long. Roasting chemistry is actually really interesting, and I believe that it's extremely important information to know as a roaster. I think one of the biggest misconceptions in coffee today is that white coffee has more caffeine than dark coffee. I think that the misconception comes from the idea that as you roast coffee, the caffeine burns out of it. However, this is completely untrue. The truth is, caffeine is actually very stable through the roasting process and can't be burned out by the temperature and the longevity at which coffee is roasted. That means that green coffee, generally speaking, has the same exact amount of caffeine content as a roasted coffee bean would have. Another thing that I wanted to talk about today was actually Maillard reactions and caramelization. Maillard reactions are actually what takes place in the roasting process, and actually the same types of reactions that happen when you're cooking meat, specifically red meat. These Maillard reactions are actually what causes the coffee to go from a green color to a dark brown color. This also introduces caramelization, and caramelization is a huge proponent in the sweet flavor that you'll get in medium to medium dark roasts. Another interesting chemical reaction that takes place is actually the introduction of oils and CO2. CO2 is a huge proponent in the bitter, burnt, and sometimes smoky flavors that you will find in a darker roast. As the longer you roast the coffee, the darker it will get and the more CO2 is introduced into the bean. As well as oils, which will sometimes produce volatile aromas that are unsavory and very unpalatable. In contrast to dark roasts, light roasts actually have a tendency to not have enough Maillard reactions, and that will lead to flavors that are nutty, flat, grassy, and stale. For all of these reasons, I personally believe that the medium to medium dark roasts provide the best experience possible. The most amount of body, the most aroma, the sweetest flavors, and the least amount of acidity, and the least amount of bitterness. So that is just a very brief look into coffee chemistry. There is so much more I could talk about. It actually took me a really long time to shoot this specific video because there's just simply so much to talk about with so limited amount of time. And I want this to be applicable to you at home, no matter if you have never brewed coffee before in your life or you roast every single day for a big company. I hope that you find value in this, and thanks for watching.